A few months ago, I saw a TikTok that said, rewatching TV shows is a sign of anxiety. And this annoyed me. It really annoyed me because I was in a job I hated. I was isolated, working from home, and I was extremely, severely stressed. And rewatching TV shows was one of the strategies I was using to hold myself together. And I didn't view it as a sign of anxiety, although that is most likely the case. I saw it as a coping mechanism. I was in a situation that wasn't forever. These feelings of stress would end, and I would eventually feel better. But this TikTok made me feel helpless. It made me feel like my feelings were just a mental disorder and nothing more, that any job would make me unhappy, stressed, and anxious. But this couldn't be further from the truth. I may have a history of anxiety or be more prone to anxious thoughts than others, but I still have control. I'm not doomed. Throughout the years when I've gone through periods of extreme anxiety or depression, there was always a root cause for me, and this time it was just my job. Now that I've left this job, I can clearly see that rewatching TV shows was, again, a coping mechanism for me. It was a healthy coping mechanism. So today I wanted to share how I use nostalgia and familiarity to ground myself when I was stressed and overwhelmed from my 9-to-5 job. Do you have a time in your life when things were just easier? Maybe one where you were more optimistic about the future? Or even a time where the problems you were facing seemed huge, but now future you clearly sees they were really nothing compared to the problems you're facing today? I was obsessed with Twilight in elementary and middle school. Those were pretty easy times for me looking back. The problems I had were so silly, and I was still pretty clueless to the stresses of the adult world, for the most part. So guess what? I reread all of my old Twilight books, and I rewatched all the movies too. It was one of the key things that got me through my last month at my 9-to-5 without totally losing it. On the other hand, there were some times in my early elementary years where life didn't feel so easy. My dad left my family, and life genuinely just sucked. I didn't fully understand the emotional toll that experience took until much later in my life, but my oldest sister used to let me sleep in her room and watch movies like Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and My Neighbor Totoro. So I rewatched Spirited Away the other day, not to dwell on the past, but to remind me of what life used to be like, to remind me of where I came from and what I went through. It helps me to understand why I am the way I am today. Then there was high school. Specifically, my senior year was the hardest year of my life. I was working, taking difficult college classes, applying for college, scholarships, etc. And then I was raising my nephew on top of everything else. My life fell out of my control. Back then, I listened to music to ground me. I had crafted this huge playlist of songs that I listened to on repeat the entire year. It helped me get through life back then, and it still helps me today. I've listened to that playlist pretty often in the past year because it keeps me optimistic about the future. Back when I made it, things looked so rough on the day-to-day, but I was constantly looking forward to college. I knew I would have a reprieve from the stress I was feeling daily at home, but what I didn't realize is that I would be starting my life, learning more than I've ever learned, becoming so close with my best friends, and falling in love with the man I'm married to now. That playlist reminds me that even when things look bleak, we have no idea what's on the other side of the door in front of us. It's a reminder that there's hope for my future. So today, I'm sitting here wearing my earrings I wore to junior prom and a t-shirt I bought from Washington, D.C. back in 9th grade, a time where I wanted to study political science, a dream that is long gone, and also had a love for Minecraft, a love that I still have at age 23. So go put on that old t-shirt, read that book, and listen to that old playlist. Watch those movies from your childhood. Remind yourself of who you were then and who you are now. I promise you'll be surprised by the comfort it brings.